Now our great speaker, our partner, who all of these bills we've mentioned.
Vice President Harris and first gentleman, well, actually the second gentleman, but you're really my first gentleman.
They don't have a full CBO report on this bill. You heard the old adage, you got to pass the bill to find out what's in it. That's what they're doing today. That's why they're rushing this bill through today. It doesn't even have a review from the Congressional Budget Office. But just a few hours ago, we got this. And it was a confirmation that the IRS agents will be getting about $20 billion in new taxes from people making less than $400,000. That's right, the CBO just confirmed it a few hours ago.
It's going to reduce the deficit without raising a penny in taxes on people making under $400,000 a year.
No new taxes on families making less than $400,000.
So President Biden, who made that promise multiple times, if you make under $400,000, don't worry, your taxes don't go up. This bill breaks President Biden's promise. It's confirmed by the CBO, and there was an amendment to stop it from happening, and every Democrat voted against it. They wouldn't allow us to bring that amendment here on the floor because they're ramming it through because they don't want people to know what's inside of this bill. $700+ billion in new taxes. Budget gimmicks that say for the new taxes over 10 years, they're only going to account for 3 years of spending, which means if you account for full 10 years, it increases the deficit. And of course, during inflation times and this crisis we're facing economically, this bill will increase inflation and gas prices. Let's reject the bill.
The gentleman's time's expired.
I yield back the balance of my time.
Mr. Speaker, isn't it so? Joe Biden himself said inflation rate is at 0%. So what the heck are we doing here? Why are we passing this so-called Inflation Reduction Act if it's at 0%? Well, in fact, it's the Inflation Enhancement
Gentlewoman's
Act.
time has expired.
Actually, I just want to say a number. 0. Today, we received news that our economy had 0% inflation in the month of July. 0%.
Today, we learned that last month, our economy had 0% inflation.
And it does the exact opposite of what Americans need right now. This is just another con game by the Democrats, calling something one thing and saying another.
Expired.
This is making the IRS, which
Gentlewoman's time has expired.
The Pentagon, the State Department,
gentlewoman is no
FBI.
longer recognized. The gentleman from Missouri reserves the ballot.
How much time do you need?
The gentlewoman is no longer recognized. Your time has expired. The gentleman from Missouri reserves.
There are some reports that your son was on this trip with you.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. His role was to be my escort. Usually we invited spouses. Not all could come, but I had him come, and I was very proud that he was there, and I'm thrilled, and it was nice for me.
Did he have any business dealings?
No, he did not. Of course he did not.
But two things should be clear. First, the economic plan is working, and second is building an economy that will reward work. Wages are up this month.
With the exploration of space being defined in the 20th century, we know that living in this century, we must think about where we now stand and where we must go. So while it was defined quite well in the 20th century, the opportunity of space must guide our work in the 21st century.
Just as a matter of history, just a little trivia, more than trivia, but this is like historic because every member in the House and every member in the Senate, Democratic member in the House, Democratic member in the Senate, voted for this legislation.
Half of the spending, over $400 billion, goes to things like $3.4 billion for tree equity. Tree equity. That surely is going to bring down the gas prices. $7.5 billion for new luxury electric vehicles. Tax credits for families who make up to $300,000 a year. That should definitely curtail inflation. $27 billion for a national climate bank slush fund at the EPA. That should definitely help our supply chain crisis. A $362 million handout to corporate America to make their offices, buildings much greener. That will definitely help secure our southern border.
Well, let's get this bill passed, and then we'll see how the mechanics and all of that's going to work through. Good afternoon, everybody.
Hi, Greg.
Hi, Peter. You're like that kid in the class.
What kid?
I'm expecting an apple, like a nice shiny red apple.
Nice briefing.
Okay, all right.
Who around here decided that Americans were crying out for more interaction with the IRS?
I don't understand your question. You have to say more.
Do you think it's going to be popular when the 87,000 new employees hired by the IRS go around and start auditing people to pay for the Inflation Reduction Act?
Directive that audit rates will not rise relative to recent years for households making under $400,000. So this is focus on those who are corporate wealthy tax cheats that Congressional Republicans wanted to defend. That's who they wanted to defend. They wanted to defend those corporate tax cheats. This is not about that. This is not about folks who make less than $400,000.
So no new audits on anybody making under $400,000 a year?
Very clear, no.
And I rise in strong opposition to this bill that will absolutely increase the deficit. It will absolutely increase inflation, and this bill will absolutely increase energy costs. In fact, they have a multi-billion-dollar new tax on energy. Haven't heard one person in America saying that they want to pay more money for gasoline, yet they're putting billions in new taxes on energy. So you'll be paying not only more for gasoline, but you'll be paying more for utility bills in your household, which are already skyrocketing because of President Biden and Speaker Pelosi's radical far-left spending they've already done the last year and a half. But it doesn't end there. $250 billion in cuts to Medicare drugs. That's right. For seniors, this bill cuts $250 billion out of Medicare drug spending to help people in higher income brackets be eligible for more Obamacare subsidies. So a massive wealth transfer away from seniors to higher income people to get subsidies for Obamacare. And then let's talk about these 87,000 IRS agents. You think of just about any NFL stadium in America filled completely with new IRS agents. That's right, more than doubling the size of the IRS to go after lower income people. And they love saying on the other side, don't worry, it's not going to touch them. There's only one problem. It doesn't stand up to the facts. There was an amendment in the Senate, right here, very simple, one-page amendment to protect people making under $400,000 from new audits by the IRS. This amendment was voted down on a party line vote because they want that army of 87,000 IRS agents going after lower income people. And in fact, the smoking gun came out this morning